Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Quarters studio. Welcome to the show. Good morning and welcome to the final day of spoiler season for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. At least, I'm pretty sure it's the last day. I could be wrong on that. Let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong on that. I believe it's last day. Well, if you're not counting, the pre-cons that are going to be released on Monday. Regardless, this episode is not about Monday, and it's not about Hinata Crown of Dawn, though Hinata is incredibly broken, and if you haven't seen that episode, make sure you check it out. Also, make sure you check out my most recent episode on Shigeki Jukai Visionary, a green commander that's about, well, you probably know, lands. Yep. Regardless, one thing that we did not expect to see, or at least I definitely did not, is this card, Containment Construct, and what it does, because this is truly madness. And what also is truly madness is the amount of help that Eddie gives me during spoiler season, so make sure you blame Eddie below in the comments if I make any mistakes on this episode, because remember, it's always Eddie's fault. Now with all that said, let's jump into it. So, Containment Construct is a card that when I first saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, well, first of all, that art is absolutely beautiful. Number two, okay, this is an uncommon. All right, it costs 2 mana. It's an artifact creature construct. So, it's probably not going to be all that powerful. I mean, this is an uncommon, and yeah, it can go in any deck. It's also a 2/1, so yeah, I mean, obviously not all that powerful, but it says, whenever you discard a card, you may exile that card from your graveyard. If you do, you may play that card this turn. That is an absolutely crazy effect that can provide you an absurd amount of value in the right decks. Actually, and there's quite a few decks out there that this can provide an absurd amount of value to. So instead of just losing out on the card that you're actually discarding, you're basically just still getting value out of it. I mean, there's plenty of scenarios where this is just extra, essentially, card advantage for you. And of course, this harkens back to a mechanic, and I will bring that up here in a bit. But yeah, the second that I saw this card and started reading it, I had to reread it about 8 times to make sure that I wasn't wrong on it, and my goodness, I mean, it even says, if you do, you may play that card this turn. Not cast. Play, which means that this affects lands as well. So if you discard a land card, you can actually still play it. And again, this fantastic effect is on a 2-mana creature that can go into any deck. I seriously don't know how in the world they made this thing an uncommon. I mean, this is definitely a rare effect to me. That being said, obviously I'm not upset that this is an uncommon. I mean, obviously it can go into more decks and it's going to be more budget friendly because of that. But yeah, I mean, this is an absolutely crazy effect. And actually, maybe like the title of this episode, I should say, this is madness. Because it literally is madness. I mean, let's take a look at, I believe, the most popular EDH rec-wise madness card out there, Big Game Hunter, a fantastic card, a 1/1 Human Rebel Assassin, because that's a thing, that costs 1 black, and it says, when Big Game Hunter enters the battlefield, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater, it can be regenerated, and it's got madness for a black. So if you discard this card, you discard it into exile, and when you do, cast it for its madness cost or put it into your graveyard. So essentially, word for word, the exact same thing that is on Containment Construct. Except for it just being, this individual card, it's for all of your cards, and again, instead of saying cast, it says play. So Containment Construct essentially gives every single one of your cards madness. And that is an absolutely absurd amount of value. I mean, let's just go through some cards and some scenarios that this can actually impact. First up, how about cycling, especially with cycling lands like Ash Barrens, Forgotten Cave, and Zaggoth Triome, or any of the Triomes, or any of the cycling lands. Ash Barrens is a very simple land. It taps for a colorless, or we can basic land cycle it for 1. So basically discard it, insert our library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it in our hand, then shuffle our library. And then Forgotten Cave enters the battlefield tapped. It taps for a red, and it can cycle for a red. And then Sagat's Triumph is going to enter the battlefield tapped. It is a Swamp Forest Island, so it can tap for black, green, or blue, and it's got cycling for 3. And again, just your normal cycling, outside of basic land cycling, is going to draw you a card, instead of searching your library for a basic land. Regardless, now each of these essentially with Containment Construct becomes, hey, pay its cycling cost. Cool, you get to draw a card or go get a land or whatnot. Also, hey, would you also like to just play the land? So instead of actually just losing out on the land and it going into your graveyard, you still get to play it, but you also get to draw that card by cycling it. Again, essentially giving all these things madness is just absolutely absurd. And of course, outside the lands, there are a lot of other cards out there that have cycling that can be very impactful with this, with things like Tectonic Reformation, Curative Mysteries, and Edge of Autumn. Tectonic Reformation is especially spicy with this card. It's an enchantment for 1 and a red, and it says each land card in your hand has cycling red, and it cycles for 2. So first up, again, this basically turns all of our lands into cycling lands, which, again, with our Containment Construct in play, is just additional value. Essentially, hey, before you play this land, just pay a red, and yeah, you draw a card for every single time that you do this. I mean, I guess, okay, if you can only play 1 land per turn, you can only do this once per turn to actually get the land into play. You know what I mean. Regardless, Tectonic Reformation itself has cycling for 2, so again, we can essentially just pay that extra cost to be like, hey, okay, I'm going to draw a card first with this, then I'm going to play it. So for 4 mana in total now, I get this into play, but I also draw a card. It's kind of like a kicker cost in a way-ish, kind of. Regardless, I mean, there are cycling cards out there that just have cycling for 1 mana, like Curative Mysteries. It is a 4/4 Sphinx with flying that says whenever you cycle or discard another card, scry 1, and it costs 2 blue, and again, cycling cost is blue. So again, just by paying an additional mana, we get to draw a card first, and then we get to get this out into play. And then when it is in play, obviously it benefits us whenever we cycle or discard other cards. But I especially love Containment Construct's interaction with Edge of Autumn, which can be really funny. It's a sorcery for 1 and a green, and it says if you control 4 fewer lands, search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library, and we can cycle it by sacrificing a land. So let's say that we've got 5 lands in play. Well, with Edge of Autumn, we can cycle it by sacrificing a land, then Containment Construct is going to actually let us exile and cast it, or play it, I should say, again. And then we can actually just cast it because we meet that requirement because we went down a land to cycle it first. But yeah, there are a lot of high value plays that you can make with cycling cards and Containment Construct. I mean, let's just even talk about the new channel lands, which work very well with this as well from this set, like Boseiju Who Endures and Ottawara. I always almost say Ottawa, Soaring City, and Sokenzan Crucible Defiance. Now, these lands are quite pushed, especially Boseiju, and actually Ottawara is really good, and Sokenzan, okay, they're all really good, and Boseiju Endures is one that actually highlighted in a video on its own. Regardless, it's a legendary land that taps for a green, does not enter the battlefield tapped notably, and it can channel for 1 and a green, so you discard it and destroy a target artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land your opponent controls. That player may search the library for a land card with a basic land type put on the battlefield, then shuffle. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. So this is already an incredible card, and yeah, now in combination with Containment Construct, you can actually just channel this, still get its effect to destroy something, and then still play it. So you're not even losing out on the land by sending it to your graveyard because, well, now it just comes into play because of Containment Construct. I mean, it doesn't go right into play. You still have to use it as your land drop for the turn, but still, you know what I mean. This is absurd. And yeah, even though I did highlight Boseiju in an individual episode, obviously now we've seen other ones like Ottawara and Sokenzan, and these things are, well, really, really good too. Ottawara taps for a blue when we can pay 3 and a blue to discard it to return target artifact, creature, enchantment, or planeswalker to its owner's hand. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. And then Sokenzan Crucible Defiance taps for a red, and we can pay 3 and a red and discard it and create 2 1/1 color spirit creature tokens. They gain haste until end of turn. Again, this ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. So whether you're destroying something with Boseiju, bouncing something with Ottawara, or you're making, your spirit tokens with haste, you are also able to then just get this land into play after you utilize it, because again of the Containment Construct. It is truly madness. And of course, other cards that are heavily benefit from the new construct are discard cards like, Faithless Looting, Frantic Search, and Thrill of Possibility. Faithless Looting says draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards, and we can flash it back for 2 and a red. So yeah, for 1 mana, again with the construct in play, we draw 2 cards, we discard 2 cards, which then exile, and we can still play them. So yeah, if we discard 2 cards that we're going to play, say maybe 1 land and 1 card that we're going to cast, we don't lose out on any of this value. We are heavily utilizing all of our cards, and yeah, again, just the amount of card advantage that this card can provide you is just incredible. And I really can't believe that the construct is just uncommon. It just still boggles my mind. I mean, obviously, it's fantastic with something like Frantic Search, basically a Faithless Looting, draw 2, discard 2, but at instant speed, and we can untap up to 3 lands, which is, basically what its cost is. So we literally don't lose out on anything. I mean, we untap our lands, which gets us our mana back, we draw 2, which is great, and the cards that we discard again, we can still play. And Thrill Possibility is even simpler. I mean, with this one, we just have to discard 1 card to draw 2, so again, if we haven't played our land for the turn, we just cast this, we draw 2, and we discard a card, and hey, we, discard our land, which we put into play. So, yeah, Containment Construct is good. Now, obviously, this also applies to wheels, like, Wheel of Fortune, the namesake card for wheels, which is incredibly expensive, so maybe you, like me, play Magus of the Wheel instead, which has pay 1 in red, tap, sacrifice it, each player discards their hand, then draws 7 cards. So while your opponents aren't going to be getting any value out of the cards that they discard, again, by discarding your hand, you will draw 7 cards, which is great, but you still get access to those cards that you discarded. Temporary access, but still, you can still play them. Yeah, I can see wheel decks absolutely loving this card and just getting an absurd amount of value out of it. And obviously, Windfall is a different type of wheel, still very similar though. A sorcery that says each player discards their hand, then draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards a player discarded this way. So this could draw you less or more cards, but still, again, no one else is getting advantage out of discarding their hand, except for you. You still get to play those cards. Obviously, another thing that the construct impacts are fantastic discard outlets like Scourge Familiar and Harnfell Horn of Bounty. Scourge Familiar is a 3/2 flyer, but that's not important. What is important is it says, discard a card, add black. This thing can be very powerful in the right deck. I'm looking at you, Gitrog. But yeah, I mean, now when you discard that card, you still get the mana from it, and you can still play that card, so you can actually utilize your own cards to help pay for themselves, in a way. And then Harnfell Horn of Bounty is actually the backside of an MDSC, Burgie, and it says discard a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library, you may play those cards this turn. So in combination with our new construct friend, this is basically, hey, exile a card from your hand that you can play this turn still, and also, yeah, by doing so, you get to exile 2 more cards from the top of your library that you can also play this turn. That can be a crazy amount of value, and yeah, although many people don't build around the back side of, the MDFC Burgie, most people build around the front side, still, I mean, if you choose to do so, this is definitely an include in that kind of a deck. And speaking of includes in decks, there are actually a ton of commanders that I could bring up here, but I'll just try to bring up different categories of commanders, like Gavi Nest Warden, a cycling commander. She's a 2/5 human shaman that has, you may pay 0 rather than pay the cycling cost of the first card you cycle each turn, and whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 red and white dinosaur cat creature token. So Gavi essentially helps us freely cycle a card each turn, and yeah, we can cycle a card, again in combination with our new construct, and actually still play it. So again, instead of losing out on the card, it's just basically an extra draw, and in this case, it's an extra free draw thanks to Gavi. Moving on, how about the Queen of Madness, Anya Falconwrath? She's a 1/3 vampire with haste that has tap, discard a card, draw a card. Whenever you discard a card, if it has Madness, untap Anya Falconwrath. So Anya just loves to tap to discard a card with Madness to draw a card and then untap and then do it again and again and again and again and again. Now eventually, when you decide to discard something that doesn't have Madness, you can still play it again as if it did have Madness thanks to the new construct. So typically I could see the play pattern being, hey, discard a ton of things, and then just discard a land if you run out of Madness cards, and now you get to actually play that land still. So yeah, Containment Construct is truly madness. Next up, how about a wheel commander like Neheb, Dreadhorde Champion? Neheb is a 5/4 trample zombie minotaur warrior, because that's a thing, that says whenever it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, you may discard any number of cards. If you do, draw that many cards and add that much red. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. So again, instead of actually just losing out on those cards that you're wheeling away, you still get access to them, and Neheb is actually giving you mana to cast them. Or again, I really should keep saying play, because again, you can play the cards, so you can still play lands as well, so you're not losing on those too. You know what I mean. Or how about a commander with a discard trigger like Galia of the Endless Dance? She's a 2/2 hasty satyr, and she gives other satyrs you control +1 and haste, so she can be a very aggressive commander. And she has, whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, you may discard a card at random. If you do, draw 2 cards. So typically, again, you'd be losing out on a random card, which, is kind of a feel bad when you actually, lose out on your best card in your hand. But again, with the construct in play, that's no longer the case. Because now, no matter what card you discard, you can still play it, and you still get the benefit of drawing 2 cards. So yeah, I definitely think Gallia decks are going to be very excited to see this low-to-the-ground construct, which again can, help attack and be one of those 3 creatures. Though, be careful where you're attacking again, it only has 1 toughness. Next up, how about a commander that actually is a discard outlet like Borborygmos Enraged? It's a 7/6 with trample. When it deals combat to a player, reveal the top 3 cards of your library, put all land cards revealed this way in your hand and the rest in your graveyard. And most importantly, it has discard a land card. Borborygmos Enraged deals 3 damage to a creature or player. So now when you essentially play your land for the turn, you're just like, okay, I'm going to play land for turn. Oh, wait, instead of actually just playing it though, I'm going to ping, that creature, take it out. And then when that, land goes in my graveyard, it's exiled because I discarded it and I've got the construct in play. Oh, and now I'm just going to play this land. It's essentially like a free lightning bolt with your land drop each turn. And finally, one last kind of commander that I want to bring up is one that actually benefits you from playing cards from exile like Prosper Tomebound. It's a 1/4 Death Touch that says, beginning of your end step, exile a top card of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. And of course, it has Pact Boon. Whenever you play a card from exile, create a treasure token. So again, if you end up casting something like a Faithless Looting, and you draw 2 to discard 2, well, now you can get extra value out of that by playing those cards that you actually discarded, and you're getting treasure tokens out of that too. Yeah, like I mentioned before, there are a lot of different types of commanders that can really heavily benefit from this new card. But now as this episode is coming to a close, it's time for me to give you my final thoughts on this card. Yeah, Containment Construct truly is madness. Again, when I first saw this card, my first thought was, wow, that's incredible art. Okay, this is a 2-mana card. It's only uncommon. Okay, my expectations aren't all that high. Oh my goodness, this does what? This is an effect I would most definitely expect to see on a rare, and probably a more color-restricted rare. And yeah, no, this is a card that can fit into any deck. I assume it's going to be very budget-friendly because it's uncommon. And yeah, it has an incredible effect that can definitely impact a game by just providing you with an incredible amount of value that, again, when it comes to cycling cards or, those channel cards or, just those discard effects, the amount of value that you can get out of them that you probably shouldn't be able to get out of them is just insane. So yeah, this is quite the start to this day of spoiler season, and I am really excited to see more spoilers coming out today, and I hope you're as well, so make sure you stay tuned to this channel for more and more spoilers. And with that, the show is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thanks again and have a good one.